said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight with a pack in hand and a story that bites. Old paper, new spark, name on the card. From basement deals to a full-on start. Collected and connected, collected and connected, trading the truth, pass it on.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jonathan Fink. Welcome to the Sports Card Collectors Club. This is our podcast called The Card Life Chronicles, and it's episode 21. And tonight we're going to rip some Pokemon. If you don't know, I've written lots of different books, but I have a book coming out on September 16th in line with the Pokemon 30th anniversary. The book's called The Pokemon Gods Are Real. I just got some prototype copies in the mail. They had some imperfections, which is okay. We already got them fixed, and I got some new copies on the way. But this inspired me, and we have some. I caught a Pokemon drop last week and didn't get to rip through all the stuff, so I thought we would rip through all the stuff that I got from last week, and we'll celebrate the fact that my Pokemon Gods Are Real book is #1 on the new release list for non-sports cards on Amazon. So that's really awesome. So thank you so much, everyone who has picked up a pre-order for this book. The ebook is already live, and I think paperback and hardback will be up and running in a few more days. It should be maybe even by tonight. So we'll get the chat going. We got 3 in the chat so far. Let's give 5-10 minutes for everyone to pile in, and then we'll rip some packs so no one gets to miss anything. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're gonna have lots of fun. This is the Card Life Chronicles. I'm author Jonathan Fink, and thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. We'll get started in a few minutes. All right, thanks for everyone for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Really excited to rip all these cards. Let me show you what we have tonight. First, let me say that I'm not a big fan of these giant sets. I feel like it's a total waste of space. You can get a booster bundle of 6 packs, and it's this little box. I mean, I think that Pokemon does this because they want the shelf space, right? And then once you've gotten shelf space, you don't want to lose it. But I think it's totally waste of cardboard, and I'm not sure how many people even like the giant cards. They're hard to PSA. They're hard to collect. You can't put it into a binder. Mega Zygarde is not my favorite character anyway, but Perfect Order has not been a successful release for Pokemon. There's been 3 in a row. Now, look, how do you define successful? I'm talking about the secondary market. When Ascended Heroes came out, people were lining up around stores 3 in the morning, and the price of the boxes were worth double right away. With Perfect Order, Pitch Black, Chaos Rising, that's not been the case. And now with the 30th anniversary coming up, they're going to print a ton of that stuff. So you could see prices fall further. So that's not great for the flippers. It's great for collectors. Now, Perfect Order didn't have a mega chase card like a Gengar or a Charizard or whatever. So this has not been very popular, but I've ripped some of it so far, and the cards designs they're great. I feel like every year the Pokemon card designs get more vibrant. They shine even better, and the art gets better, and the full art, everything. So I don't love the packaging, but I was happened to be in a Target, and I saw people were lined up. I'm like, what's going on? I actually was in a Target in Olathe. I was just curious to see if they had the new setup. I heard that a lot of the Targets have been getting their new. Usually at Targets, the Pokemon and sports cards are right by the registers in the front, but it's not really convenient, especially when people have to line up for these restocks. And so I caught that. So it turns out I was looking for that section. They had the new section, and there was a restock ongoing, and everyone was getting lined up. So I'm like, oh, screw it, I'm already here. I'll get in line. And the truth is, most of the stuff that I actually wanted was already gone, like Ascended Heroes. But I figured I already spent 30 minutes of my life online. I might as well go buy some stuff, and so I did. So I did pick up this Perfect Order stuff, and I did actually get my hands on a couple of things that are pretty cool. I got 2 Series 2 and 2 Series 3. So we don't have a ton of packs tonight, but I wanted to show my gratitude to the Pokemon gods because I was able to get the book released in time for the 30th anniversary, so I'm really excited about that. The ebook went on sale. Usually, when I work with, I'm working with a different publishing house this time. I've always used Ingram Spark, and usually I get the paperback and the hardcover up, in a couple of days after they're approved, and then the ebook might take a couple of weeks to get done. This is the first time ever I'm using Amazon and their KDP program, and actually it's way more efficient and actually less money. And with the ebook, it's ironic that's actually costs extra money on Ingram Spark. It takes an extra couple of weeks, sometimes even a month to make. And they had the ebook done within 24 hours. And my original thought was to do the paperback and hardback on Ingram Spark. And then when her website crashed, I thought it was a sign from the Pokemon gods or whatever, the publishing gods. And so I wound up putting out the paperback and hardcover through Amazon as well for the first time. Now, when I first did it, I didn't realize that the book layout metrics would not be the same as Ingram Spark. And so this was the couple of prototype copies that I had mailed to me. And if you notice, the very top is not in line. So I contacted my book layout designer, and they were like, "Oh yeah, if you're going to use Amazon, it's different metrics." And so I've already gotten those fixed, and they're on order. And so I'll get a couple of these copies before the release. But I have a ritual where I read the book over and over again, and then I get copies sent to me before release, and then I read it one last time, try to find any last mistakes. But I can tell you that the interior, looks awesome. The back looks good. Let's read it. Ready? What if Pokemon was never just a game? For nearly 30 years, collectors have ripped open packs with faith that something extraordinary might be waiting inside. Binders became sacred texts. Charizards became holy grails. Conventions became pilgrimages. And collecting became something much deeper than a hobby. In The Pokemon Gods Are Real, Jonathan Fink explores the mythology, nostalgia, rituals, miracles, greed, community, and strange coincidences that have transformed Pokemon into a modern belief system. This is not a price guide or an investment manual. It is a book about belief. And then the rest of it I can't read because it's blacked out, not for resale. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe. So yeah, for those who don't know, I started with nonfiction true life storybooks, which was Baseball Gods Volume 1 and 2. And then the term baseball gods kept coming up so much, I started noticing it everywhere I went, in articles and on TV. I started collecting all those articles, and I collected so many that I was able to create a book called The Baseball Gods Are Real, Volume 3, The Religion of Baseball. And that was my most successful book at the time, the third of the trilogy. But that book was really different than my other two, because that was all nonfiction, true life story stuff. And this was a research-based book with a couple of chapters that were based on me and my son and my former apprentice, John Perrin. But what happened once I wrote that book and I saw its success, I realized, you know what, there's kind of a formula here. And the same metaphor people use for the baseball gods can be used for the football gods, the golf gods, hockey gods. And so kind of like the chicken soup for the soul, formula, I ran with it. And I did put out football gods and hockey gods and golf gods. And I just finished, writing the manuscript for the Basketball Gods Are Real, and I've been editing it, and it's really good. I'm almost done with it. So it'll be done real soon. And I'll plan on putting that one out next July. But the Pokemon Gods Are Real was a little bit different, because when I got to my my sports card Collectors Club series, nonfiction, true life story stuff, I referenced the sports card gods often throughout the series. Again, I published Volume 1 last year. Volume 2 comes out in December of this year, and Volume 3 I'm still designing and will be writing soon. But I referenced the sports card gods a lot, and I realized I could probably, the same way I write about the golf gods, I could easily write a book called The Sports Card Gods Are Real. And then I realized, I've kind of written about the sports card gods enough. They mentioned enough in that series, but the Pokemon gods is a whole different thing. And so I kind of applied that formula, this model, about rituals and superstitions, cathedrals, and all the different ways that sports or hobbies, like Pokemon, can resemble organized religion. The passion, the faith, the belief, the magic, the miracles, all that, the saints, the sinners, all that stuff. And so as I got back into the sports car hobby after like 30 years, trade card shows, right after the pandemic, I'd say like the local Kansas City show might have like 5 or 10% Pokemon. And then a year went by and it was 20%. Another year went by and it was 40%. Another year went by and it was half. Another year went by and it was 2/3 of the trade show. I was at a trade show 6 months ago. It was a Lutheran Church on Warnell in Missouri. It was a small show, but I would say it was 90% Pokemon. So over the years, I spent a year kind of just 6 months watching Pokemon, and then a good year researching Pokemon, building ideas for the chapters, getting the material. 6 months of writing, and then it took me about 6 months of editing. So basically about 2 years to put this book together. But the same magic that I witnessed with the sports card crowd, the magic of ripping a pack, that magic definitely happens when you rip a pack of Pokemon as well. And so I realized that the Pokemon gods were just as real, and it was such a fun book to research, so much fun to write. And of course, the Pokemon gods are real, so we got to please them, which is why we're going to do this rip session tonight to please the Pokemon gods. So real quick, we got the chat is awake, which is good to see. Garrison Lyle, good to see you, buddy. Pikachu, what's up, dude? Your favorite Pokemon character, Paulie Wizwilt is in the house. What's up, Paulie? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome back from, dude, Paulie's had the most incredible summer. If you don't know who Paulie, I'm sure you know him from the Collecting and Connecting interviews he does and the What Do You Collect podcast. He's also the grand master producer of this whole Collecting and Connecting network. And this guy, look, he was first at the Summer League in Vegas with me, right? Then Paulie was at the Fanatics Fest, which is his hometown, but still. Then 2 weeks later, he was at the National. And then 2 weeks after that, or 3 weeks after that, he was at the D23, the Disney pin collecting conference at Disneyland. So Paulie's had the most amazing summer, which is awesome. Magic Top Shop says season incoming. Yeah, dude, this NBA season, real quick, is gonna be awesome. I'll be so focused on basketball. The league has the most parity it's had probably in quite some time. I'm sure all Knicks fans feel like they're the heir apparent and they're the number one team. I haven't seen the Vegas odds. I'm guessing the Knicks probably still have the best odds to win the championship. But OKC is going to be good again. San Antonio's going to be better. You got Giannis in Miami. You got Ja Morant in Portland. You got LeBron in Philly. I mean, there's some really, really interesting moves, and I think it's going to be an awesome season. So NBA Top Shot's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, the NBA Top Shot will be particularly fun because of the rookie class. This could be, last year was Cooper Flagg, so that's hard to beat. He led a really strong class, but I think next year could also be really good. AJ Nabansa, You got the guy in Chicago, and then of course my guy Darren Peterson from KU. I think he's going to be the next. He's like Kobe Bryant. He's going to be sick. So Catherine, good to see you. X7T. Her favorite character is Dragonite. Gotta catch them all. That's awesome. Paulie, 20,000 views on the High Hard One podcast. Go check that out. That's definitely a record for me, Paulie. I think the most I've ever had during my show was like 3,000. But as far as any podcast I've ever been on, 20. John Barnes writes, "Gotta be Charizard." Hero of Grace writes, "Stuffy." By the way, you gotta know mine. It's Pikachu. All day, every day, all night, every night. These are all Pikachus that I've pulled myself, by the way. I also have it on display. Yeah, Pokemon. Oh, this one needs a case. Hold on. Yeah, Pokemon is awesome. Very different than NBA Top Shot, but there's a place in the hobby for both. And what I like about non-sports cards is that they don't have a season. So I'm so excited to be ripping Top Shot this year, and also just regular physical basketball cards because of this rookie class will be fun to chase. But basketball's not always in season, and Pokemon always is. All the non-sports cards. So it's kind of great. In fact, we had this debate the other night. I think it was on the High Hard One a couple of weeks ago about what's going to happen if we don't have a baseball season. What if the collective bargaining agreement is a disaster and we go over the thumb and Louise, we go over the cliff, right? Well, gosh, we're watching a lot of Savannah Bananas and maybe some South Korean baseball and women's softball, women's baseball, and I think a lot of people in the hobby, I don't know, Topps might still release all their products baseball related. We'll have to wait and see, but if they don't, I think that the non-sports card market has become so developed now, especially just recently. There's now Pal World, and you got Magic and One Piece, V-Friends, Pokemon, Marvel. I mean, the non-sports card scene is just booming, and there's just so much. So if you love ripping like I do, it's no big deal. It is. I'll miss baseball terribly, but if there's no baseball, then people will probably stay home and read my book, The Republic Baseball, which kind of predicted all these problems, by the way. So go check that out. But tonight's not about baseball. Tonight's about the Pokemon gods. So let's get this second camera up and running. But go check out this book. You're gonna love it. I'm so proud of it. It's so exciting to release something for the Pokemon community. I just felt like this was a book that people are gonna really enjoy. I had researched it, and there was kind of a void in the Pokemon market. Evan8532 says Pikachu. Good choice. Can't go wrong with Pikachu. Some people are Charizard all the way. Some people are Pikachu all the way. I like how Catherine recommends Dragonite. That's awesome. Hero of Grace with the Stuffle. That's cool. Hold on. Let me open this one up real quick. Just get some of the supplies set up, and then we'll get the second camera going. Yeah, we got 128 people in the chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I hope you love Pokemon as much as I do. Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like this book. I put it up for sale, pre-release, only a month before the book was gonna go live with Pokemon, so it didn't have a lot of time to kind of sit on the pre-sale and kind of ruminate. Yeah, so here's the giant card. I had no use to collect this. It's kind of cool that it's like almost 3D though. I'm gonna trade this in to my friends at the baseball card store. Shout out to Jordan and Scott, Neal, and Jake, and all the guys at the baseball card store, Overland Park. Kansas City has an awesome sticker. Yeah, keep that. Has an awesome card market, both with physical shops and with the trade show community. It's just fabulous. So we're really blessed here. I actually speaking of shows, the High Hard One podcast, go check it out. 20,000 views. We had a really good conversation about the state of the business of baseball, the economics of baseball. But I also had an interview last night on my regular podcast, the Sports Card Collectors Club flagship podcast, which is every other Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. And I had Michaela Bear on, and she's a hardcore super collector and Cleveland Indians fan. I like how they give you the miniature version and then the card version. I'll definitely flip this on eBay. Hopefully it'll do well. I don't know if this is a card that's in demand. Like I said, he's not one of my favorite characters. I prefer the characters that look cute, you know, not like the scary looking dudes. Hold on, let's get this one some. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, so we got a bunch of perfect order, and then these other boxes. Let's open up those real quick too before we get the camera out. And I've pulled these boxes before. They're really beautiful looking cards in them, and I have a weird little story. I guess I once, I used to do, I don't do this anymore, but for a while I used to go on Fanatics Live, and I would do box breaks and stuff like that. But after I kind of was done with box breaks, I would still get these free credits from time to time. They'd mail you like $50 or $100 to like entice you back in. So I would do that, And then whenever I flip around looking for something to join a break, I would see free giveaways. So I join a free giveaway, and I got one of these in the mail from a free giveaway. Just like showed up at my house like Harry Potter style. It was totally bizarre. And so I'm like, all right, sweet, So I open it up, and I didn't know at the time, but you'll see how one's Chaos Rising, one's Perfect Order, and then you have this like Series 2, which I think might be related to the 30th anniversary in some way, or the 151. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, there's only 3 cards in it, and I opened it up, and it was 3 special illustration rares, like full art, 3 cards in a row, and I'm like, oh my god, it was a mini God pack. Now a true God pack is when the entire pack, all 7 cards or whatever's in there, 10 cards. Everyone is a banger. Everyone's full art, incredible. But I thought it was 3 in a row. It was a mini God pack. Turns out I think they're all like that, because I did buy another one of these in the store not too long ago, and I opened it up and it was 3 full art cards, and I was like, oh well. So that was kind of like, gotta remember, I'm still a rookie when it comes to Pokemon. I'm not an OG. It's kind of funny. I am a guest on a recurring guest on a podcast on Paulie's Collecting and Connecting Network, which, by the way, there's another episode coming up in a couple of weeks. First episode was so much fun. I know enough about Pokemon to hang out with the Pokemon crew. But I definitely don't have like the chops that some of these old school guys do. But what I really can talk about and add value is the economics of Pokemon. Here are the stickers that came with it. Because I do have an MBA. I have an economics background. I have a business and investing background. I invest for a living. I am actually a licensed financial advisor. So when I always give a disclaimer saying when I give advice on the economy or on Pokemon, it's not financial advice. But I think actually I might be technically allowed to, but it's still not. You should always make your own decisions and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely will, have a passion for Pokemon and definitely thoughts to contribute. But I have much respect for the guys that have been into Pokemon their entire lives, and grew up with it, never left the hobby. For me, my story, as you know from my first sports car book, I was a junk wax kid. I grew up on Long Island in the 80s. I was born in 74. I'm 52 years old. I remember my first pack was in 1981. It was a Topps baseball. I got it at a birthday party, and I was like immediately mesmerized by that. But I had like no budget. I had no money. I had no allowance back then. And then I remember by 2nd grade, I did. And then I started to open my first pack or 2. And then I found out on my bus, the older kids were in the back 2 rows playing some kind of gambling game. And even though I was only a 2nd grader, only the cool older kids were in the back. I was like, let me in. And I literally worked my way to the back, and I'm like, what's going on in here? And they were playing this game called Flip. And immediately, once I learned how to, the next day I showed up with my own cards, and I joined. And, I'm sure I got ripped off or lost a lot, when I was a rookie and learning. But I also remember the feeling when I would win a big hand. It was like the best feeling ever, coming off the bus and flipping through all the cards, coming home and seeing how they fit into your collection. Now, my dad grew up in the Bronx. He was a big New York Giants fan, Willie Mays fan, and he super collected Willie Mays. He also would go in the schoolyard and trade cards and also play games like Flip. And my dad had completed 1954, 1955, and 56 complete sets. If I were to show you the rookies, like Ernie Banks, the list goes on and on from those years. It's incredible. And unfortunately, my dad went to law school, and it was a crazy thing. He was working so hard. He had like a day job as a teacher, going to law school at night. He was living in Queens, but he was like going to Brooklyn Law School by day, but teaching in the Bronx while living. Like he was like going to 3 boroughs every day of his life. He's the American dream. He worked really hard to get to where he got to go in his career. But anyway, my grandparents were switching apartments, and they were moving to a smaller apartment, like from somewhere in the Bronx to somewhere else in Queens, I think. And they called my dad and like, Jeffrey, we have these boxes, these shoe boxes of baseball cards. You know, we have no use for them. What do you want? What do you want? Come pick them up. And my dad was like in finals, law school finals, and he just he couldn't deal with it. He was so busy. He was like, I don't know, Mom, just do whatever you want. Throw them out if you need to, you know. And she actually did. And so I don't know the exact value of a full set of 54, 55, 66. I also don't know the condition of those cards back then. Remember, he played flip and all that stuff, so they definitely were not like worthy of PSA 10s. However, Crush Crush tonight, non-caffeinated, not an endorsement. Still waiting for Stewart's to call me from Black Cherry, Paulie. Anyway, just kidding. That's when it opened. So yeah, so when I was a kid, I wanted to be like my dad. I had always heard about his card collecting and his sets, but I never got to see his cards or touch them because they were thrown out in the garbage. So I kind of wanted to build sets of my own, and I never came close ever to building a complete set of any year in the 80s. And then by 1988, I went off to high school. Like most people, you know, you get too busy. You know, I wasn't just chasing girls. I was really into Taekwondo, karate. I was studying from my hey, what's up? 4Com 3236. What's up? Join. What's your favorite Pokemon character? That's what we need to know. I'm getting ready for the big rip, guys. Lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, so I never got close to completing full sets like he did. But then when I became an adult and I had the wherewithal and I got back into the hobby after 30 years, I did. And actually, if you look over there, I'll show you with this camera, I guess. I have complete sets all the way through all my junk wax years, and I'm still obsessed with doing that. All right, yeah. So let me get the second camera up and running, and let's see how many packs we have real quick. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we'll mix them all up, not any particular order, not in a perfect order, but bad joke, sorry, had to do it. Yeah, some of these will only have 3, some of these are full, you know, hopefully we can pull a Gengar tonight. Some of these are full 10 card packs. By the way, don't forget, we're celebrating my book coming out in less than a month. The Pokemon Gods Are Real. Yeah, I don't care if you ever read any of my books. This is the book to get, man, because this is so much fun. It celebrates the hobby, and for what it is, it's totally unique. You know, and frankly, if people love it, then maybe I really will write a sports card Gods of book just the same way I did here, but just because maybe it's like, you know, the community would love it. Okay, let me get the second camera running, and I'll give you a quick tour of my cards, of my full collections. All right, hold on. '80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 93, all the way to 95. I would have stopped at 94 with the strike, but then I saw this one with Ken Griffey. By the way, these are custom done by the baseball card store, and I guess they pick out the best card, and then they put it on top for display, which is really cool. Hold on, my dog just showed up. I gotta take him outside real quick. All right, now I'm going to use this awesome loop that Paulie made for a quick break, guys. Take my dog out. I'll be right back. Thanks for your patience. Rip some packs. God bless. 361 on the chat. Thank you so much. Back soon.
This month, we have some great sports card stories from across the U.S. and talk to an author from nearby Leawood, Kansas, who has written a book about returning to collecting after 3 decades away.
My day job is I'm a financial advisor, so I've been investing for over 20 years. In a way to express my love for the hobby, I decided, what if I write an investment book, Sports Card Collectors Club, and treat the stock market the same way I would treat the card market. And so I thought, well, how would a day trader invest in cards? How would a venture capitalist buy and sell cards? How would a hedge fund do it? As I would go through my trials and tribulations, I realized that for as much fun as I was having investing, there was something missing. And one day I was watching the Royals game on television, and it was a rain delay. And the Card Live television show came on. I was watching that episode, I was watching Matt Strom open cards and rip packs, and I started getting the warm, fuzzy feelings. I said, this is what I want to be doing. I want to get back to really collecting and ripping cards and building sets. And that's where the story of my book has changed. I go from investing back to collecting.
I'll also open a variety of boxes from different sports. So he hit the home run off me in like the 7th inning. And then in the 8th inning, JT hit a double, so he's standing on second. And Mason Wynn asked him, he's like, hey JT, he's like, I heard Strom collects cards of guys that take him deep. He's like, does that mean he's gonna send me over a couple cards to sign tomorrow? And after the game, we had won. I mean, winning is the only thing that's important to me. So it's like, I was good after the game, whatever, and JT comes up to me and he's like, hey Stromy, he was really genuine. Like he wasn't taking shots. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, when I got to second, Mason asked if you're gonna send a card over for him.
I'm just looking around my basement here, just walls covered with concert posters and toys, and just like, I have no intention of selling these things. I collect because I want to show off the things I love and do it in fun ways. And it just never crossed my mind that, hey, I'm going to go buy this thing just so I can resell it. Like that to me isn't a pure collector mentality. And obviously things change and times change. And, in order for things to survive right now, you have to have that sort of chase for something valuable.
Yeah, it needs to be a circus. You know what? The truth is, I actually watched the live stream on eBay Live with Ken Golden and Logan Paul. They ripped a box of 86 Flair and a box of Series 1 Pokemon. And you know what? It was very entertaining. They're both polarizing characters. I thought it was entertaining. But you know what? After every pull, they immediately are showing the value. And and it begs the question, are we creating, not we, is the industry creating a gambling culture which has a real downside?
It already has. Right. Not created. It's here.
Yeah, and
that's
a concern. I guess for me, I hope to be an influence where we focus more on collecting, because you know what, when markets crash, collectors don't get hurt at all. Because the Sandy Koufax you bought that because it makes you feel good. It brings back good memories.
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight.
You have created community, so let's talk about that. I went to Rip Night at your shop. Let's rip another pack. And I went to your Rip Night 2 years ago, and it was one of the best. I wrote about it in volume 1. It was one of the best times I've ever had. You guys had this giant scoreboard where you had the chase cards, and everyone can buy whatever product you wanted, like buy 3, get 1 free, whatever product, whatever it was. You then, if you pull a Bronny James, you then get another blaster. Or I pulled a Reed Shepherd auto, and then I got a free T-shirt. And I sat around the table with strangers and had the best time ever. So let's talk about how important community is. And what you guys do is provide an anchor for community in our town. How important that is.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, one of our taglines, we say we'll make an offer on anything, but like you said, I mean, we got to pay what it's worth, and so if it's junk wax, it's going to be junk wax prices, which unfortunately, a lot of people end up thinking that their 87 Topps Barry Bonds is going to be a couple $100 or
it's worth nothing, people.
Brand and notoriety. And so when you're pitching these stories to these athletes, like I've reached out to a couple of different athletes about writing a potential article about their collections and having them kind of share their story. And it's like, yes, like I write for Collectibles on SI, which is under the Sports Illustrated umbrella. It does carry weight. Like it does. People recognize that brand. It is important. And so I'm super grateful that I've been given the opportunity to write for that staff.
The top segment that was done by you on you was so well produced, right? Did all that come from the conversation you had with Michael Rubin? Is that how that put you on the map to such an extent that all those opportunities happened? Is that How did that happen? Did you get a call one day?
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight with a pack in hand and a story that bites.
I didn't even collect when I was 3 years old. Like when this card came out, but oh, you just pulled a good one. Roman Anthony, from Dempsey, I love Wichita State.
Yeah.
I would have been thrilled if he went to Tulane, but his parents have roots in Nebraska. So for him, it was coming home. And so Nebraska got a good one. And so I'm not
That's
surprised
awesome.
that program's on the rise because they got a great stadium. They have great resources. They got a great fan base with people like you. And their recruiting is fantastic. They're finding the talented kids. So
Yeah,
watch
in
out
fact,
for the Big Ten.
So yeah, Will Bolt, the head coach, he actually played at Nebraska when I was traveling with the Nebraska team in the late '90s. He was down at Texas A&M when I worked at Texas A&M. Rob Childress is the pitching coach, and I was on the hiring committee that hired him away from Nebraska to come down at Texas A&M, and they're thrilled that he's back here in Nebraska. He's a genius. The number of players in pro ball right now that went through Rob Childress, so he'll be under good guidance when he gets up here to Nebraska. They're good people.
One kid found a mantle in the rain. One old friend came back with the same old chain.
Talk to me about the reaction of the players, the other players,
yeah.
when they see this bat putter. Are they
Yeah.
flipping out? They freak out when they see it?
And they see it and they're like, they just stop. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So the reason why I asked that question is because I had that experience literally yesterday. So when I first got the bat putter, I think I bought it 6 months ago,
Yep.
and it's customized for the Republic Baseball League, which is so cool. And now I realize I love it so much, and I got to use it yesterday. I'm like, I got to start buying them for different people. Like anyone's a guest on my show, they're gonna get a bat putter, okay?
Yeah.
But the point is, I had never used it because I thought it was too sacred to me. I keep it in my office like a sacred shrine. It means so much to me. But then I was like, after watching all these videos and stuff like that, I'm like, you know what? There's this indoor amazing place in Kansas City called Tap-Ins. Okay, they have an outdoor putt, but also indoor. And depending on the weather, the whole thing, it's an amazing atrium, and it's become a successful business. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That's a perfect. It was a hot day. I'm like, it's a perfect thing to do. So my buddy Paul Greenwood, who I featured in my first book, we went and played around. And when I showed up with this bat putter, people were freaking out. They were literally losing their minds, and that's when I realized. So then, and then by the way, it was a Sunday, middle of the day, hot as heck. I want to see how it gets made, but you probably do actually.
I want to see if there's quality control testers there.
But attention! If anyone at the tops is watching, Grip and Rep we want to get invited to a tour at a factory. The two of us.
I told them I would work for free.
Right.
I would work absolutely free. I want to see how their stuff's made.
Yeah, I'm curious. But like correlation is like I'm sure there's a bunch of engineers that sit around and design.
Got some breaking news for you.
Yeah.
Slab just texted me.
No way. What do you say? The
Looks like this is the first year to hear it. Who is that?
Right.
Let me see here.
Breaking news. Grip and Rep breaking news.
Oh, U.S. agent. Okay, so I just got told that the finest mega boxes are going to be really, really, really good.
Oh, interesting.
1.6 numbered cards a box. So you're guaranteed one numbered card with a 60% chance to pull a second numbered card.
Wow,
and
interesting.
Autos are 1 in 3.
Whoa. So do you think that Topps decided to go big because this is their first year with Topps Finest in retail?
I'm going to say yes. Yes.
Right? Because
I do think so.
You usually get so upset with the delayed numbers, that they're delaying them. Or maybe, by the way, I don't know if it's a conspiracy that the odds are coming out later. I just think that maybe they're just not as efficient as they used to be.
You might have watched this game back
I'm
when,
sure I did.
Currently, it's
Derek
only
Coleman. Yeah, he was on my fans team for sure.
pretty crazy to think, in the future you would be able to collect that moment that you watched.
Right. And by the way, check that out. It's worth $198 versus the ones that are worth 35 cents because it makes sense. Because the same way that you value your 1964 Willie Mays card, you're going to value your Drazen Petrovic, and you're not going to want to give it up unless it's for a very, very good price because you love that memory. And what's wild is the same way that you get the warm fuzzy feeling with dopamine hit, whatever, when you look at a card on your shelf, it's the same thing. But when you're online at the bank, you don't have your cards with you, Paulie, but you do have your phone, and you can pull up your Drazen Petrovic and pay respect to him and watch a couple of his awesome plays that give you the warm fuzzies because you can. It's wild. And so
This month, we have some great sports card stories from across the U.S. and talk to an author from nearby Leawood, Kansas, who has written a book about.
All right, thanks for your patience, guys. I am back. So my dog, Buddy, first of all, he's 11 years old. He's got some medical issues, so he's got a tough bladder situation. So he does go out more than most dogs, I guess, perhaps. But inevitably, I always take him out before a stream, and then inevitably he'll come down and interrupt it. I'm not always sure if he just wants to come hang out or if he's asking to go out, but I don't want him to have an accident, so I take him out, whatever. But this time, it was like an intervention from the Pokemon gods. I was just telling you how I just was showing you how the prototypes of the very first paperbacks that I ordered from Amazon came, and they were off. That's when I realized, oh shoot, the first time I'm using a different publishing company, I'm using Amazon KDP for the first time after, this is my 16th book, so 15 books I've used Ingram Spark as my printing company. And so I had a couple of signs, the website crashed and stuff. I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll use Amazon for the first time for the ebook. And then I decided to do it for paper and hardback. Now, typically when I put a book out, I'll have it set up on Amazon and all the different websites, months in advance. I just won't tell anybody because I want to make sure that everything's working correctly. With this Pokemon book, it was a little different situation because I couldn't rush the editing part. It was only going to be done when it was going to be done. But if it was going to be done before September 16th, when there's the Pokemon 30th anniversary, then I really want to get the book out on that day, and have this book out for like what could be the a peak euphoria moment for the hobby. And there really needs to be a book that speaks to all this mania that's been happening. And so I really wanted to get the book out. Otherwise, I would have put it out in 6 months. And I did get it done in time. And then with Amazon, I was actually quite surprised that the ebook got up and running super, super quick. The cover looked great. It's now on pre-sale. It's #1, so I'm very, very grateful. But I then did go back and try to use Ingram Spark for the paper and the hardcover, figuring out how to hedge my bets. And then both of the files that I uploaded got rejected. I'm like, oh, wow, the Pokemon gods are not messing around. So then my book layout designer had given me updated Amazon book cover files. So I was, all right, I'll just try to put them up for Amazon. And I did, and they worked so easily, no cost, super easy, and then you can pre-order. And so I go upstairs to give my dog his treat after going potty outside, whatever, and and what is that? What is right at the staircase is this huge box. So I cannot believe this would be Amazon working that fast, but maybe this is actually how fast Amazon works. With Ingram Spark, gosh, there's so many pros and cons of why I chose to use them in the past and didn't go with Amazon. But Amazon is really winning me over. But the point is, you see all those like TikTok videos of like box openings and package openings and whatever people do. This is literally going to be my first impression because I don't have much time to make adjustments. If this prototype does not look good, I'm gonna have to scramble and get things up and running properly in now less than a month, which would not be great. So let's open this up and let's see what happens. And then we're gonna rip packs, I promise. But this is definitely related to the Pokemon rip session. Oh, okay. It might not be Pokemon. It might be other stuff. Let's see. So I do periodically order some of my own books. And basically, anyone who becomes a guest on my podcast, I'm now mailing them a book. So far, it's all just my old books. Oh, yeah, it's a false alarm, guys. I just ordered the Pokemon stuff like a day or two ago, and the website has not even updated yet on Amazon's site. So I thought it would be odd if they were already in the mail and at my house, but turns out it's just my regular books. If you haven't read this one, definitely go check it out. You're gonna love it. The quick synopsis of this book is let me share that story real quick, okay? Because I think you might find it very interesting. Hold on. So I mentioned earlier I was a junk wax kid. I collected baseball cards in the 80s. I even found my old shoebox a couple of like 1982 football cards and stuff like that. And then I gave up the hobby for a very, very long time. And when I got back into it, it was kind of like a whole new experience. But when I got back into the hobby, the very first thing that happened was this. During the pandemic, that was when a lot of people my age, got back into the hobby if they were on a 20 or 30 year hiatus. I did not get into the hobby at all. I wasn't part of that. I was so busy writing books. I wrote a manuscript for Football Gods Are Real, Hockey Gods Are Real, Golf Gods Are Real, Basketball Gods Are Real. I wrote Volume 1, Spirits of the Gridiron. I think I wrote Volume 3 of the Republic Baseball League, I was just like obsessed with writing because there was nothing else to do. It was kind of the perfect storm for me. When the pandemic ended, the first card show I saw advertised, I was like going to go because the main character of the Republic Baseball League, Professor Kevin Dempsey, a big part of his, he's kind of based on me a little bit. He's kind of like my alter ego, but one of his character traits, he loves sports cards, and he goes to the barbershop, which is an old name for a barbershop, which is now a baseball card store, and he plays a game called baseball card poker, and he brings cards to his class to show off. It's just part of his shtick. Well, anyway, I went to my first trade card show, and I saw this card. 1964 Willie Mays. Now, I mentioned earlier that my dad had collected complete sets, but Willie Mays was his favorite player. He even had a Willie Mays glove that was signed. He had cards that were signed by Willie Mays. And so I decided to buy, I saw two of them, so I bought two. One to keep as my first official, like PSA graded, this is by the way a PSA 3 only. But this was my first card ever, my PC. Obviously PC means personal collection, cards that are so meaningful to you, you'll never give them away, not for any price. And this is definitely one I will never give away. I look forward to my children inheriting this. Actually, my daughter's getting my stamps, my son's getting the cards. So that's already been discussed. Oh, shit. Man down. Phil Rizzuto's scooter fell over. Hold on. That was my nickname when I was a kid. I was nicknamed after Phil Rizzuto because he played shortstop for the New York Yankees, and he was like small and nimble and fast and like really good at bunting and small ball. And if you look at my Twitter account, it's Scooter Fink, and same on Instagram. So I've always loved Scooter. So of course Scooter's in my PC as well. Anyway, the point is this: after I bought that first card, that's when like my love for the hobby really came back like big time, right? And I started going online. I wanted to find sports card content. Of course, sports card content has really evolved so much, in the last 5-6 years. But one of the first people I came across was Jeff Wilson, and he was the sports card investor, and he had this app and and he was comparing sports cards to prices and comparing them to stocks, like as if they were like investments. Now look. I just haven't. I've been investing as a financial advisor for over 20 years, but my dad taught me how to invest when I was a high school kid. So like, investing throughout my entire life is something that I've always loved to do, and I've always gravitated towards alternative asset classes. Whether it was precious metals or commodities or cryptocurrencies, I've always kind of had an affinity for alternative ways to make money. So when I saw people, talking about Michael Jordan cards and Willie Mays cards like stocks, I was like, well, this is fascinating. So I embraced what I thought was the new age hobby. I thought everyone was a sports card investor now. No one collected anymore or built sets anymore. And truthfully, when you go to the shows, that was the kind of the culture that I saw. I saw people mostly flipping, kids with Zion cases and stuff like that, So I initially embraced that new age hobby, and I was enjoying myself, frankly. And I was kind of like, all right, well, how would Warren Buffett buy sports cards? How would a hedge fund do it? How would a day trader do it? And what I realized is that I'm an author, and I'm ideas for books always kind of come to me just naturally, and it kind of hit me in the face, like Mike, why don't I write a book combining my love for investing with my rediscovered love for sports cards? And so that's what I do. So I basically, the first half of that book, Sports Cards Collector's Club Volume 1. Hold on, quick dry mouth. It starts out as an investment book. And if you read the book, you actually will learn a lot of investment history, investment knowledge, and it might help you with your personal investing down the road because there is a lot of knowledge in there, stuff that I've learned from my whole career, stuff from business school and whatever. So there's a chapter about how would Warren Buffett buy sports cards, how would a hedge fund do it. So the point is I'm doing these chapters. Sometimes I'm losing money, sometimes I'm making lots of money, having all different kinds of experiences. And by the way, my biggest pitfall was grading cards. I did not realize how difficult it is to grade. And you look at a card, you think it's a 10, and you get it back as a 6, and it has no value in the market, and you just wasted $25 grading a card that was better off raw. But that's a separate conversation for a separate day. But I had a lot of fun as a sports card investor. I thought that was like, what I was supposed to be doing. Silly me. When finally one day, I was watching the Royals game, and there was a rain delay. Now, if you watch a lot of sports, and there's a rain delay, you know that the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, they don't necessarily know how long the rain delay is going to be, and the announcers just kind of just chit-chat, they small talk, they recap the game. Once they know, okay, the tarp's out, lightning's blasting, radar's bad, we're going to have a prolonged rain delay, the television broadcasting network needs to put on programming, needs to put on shows. So typically, one of the go-to shows around the country is Brandon Verzel, who's the producer of the show called The Card Life, hosted by Matt Strom, who at the time, when I first discovered the show, he was playing for the Philadelphia Phillies. He most recently this year was playing for the Royals. And so I'm watching the show, I'm enjoying it, and then they get to the segment where Matt's with a guest and they're ripping open packs. And I start watching this, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to be, this is what's missing. This is what I want to be doing. This is what I did as a kid, like rip packs, build sets, like that magic feeling. And for as much as I enjoyed kind of my modern day flipping, it wasn't as satisfying as the idea of getting back to collecting as I did as a kid, ripping packs and kind of building sets and stuff like that. And so that's where my book has a change. And so The Card Life was a pivotal moment in my story, in my life, but also in the story of the book. And the rest of the book is me becoming a collector. And I have chapters about building the 1986 Flair, epic NBA set. And, my Mojo Refractor collection and all the different things, my set of complete sets, just kind of like honor my dad. And that's why I completed sets from the whole junk box era. And I also started building a high box collection, which I didn't show you, but I can show you that too. Actually, real quick, I'm actually working on volume 4. I thought it was going to be a trilogy, but then an idea came to me called the Missing Junk Wax Years, because I gave up the hobby in 1988. So everything from 1988 on, I missed that. I didn't get to rip, chasing Billy Ripken Upper Deck 89, right? I wasn't chasing the Billy Ripken era card. So anyway, so I've been stacking junk wax, and I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. I'm a big believer in this whole culture right now is spending so much money on flipping cards and on big expensive hobby boxes, and I want people to realize there's lots of different ways to enjoy this hobby. And all these boxes I'm going to show you, except for 1 or 2, I bought for like $30. So check this out. These are all my junk. This is all my missing junk wax error, and I'll rip all these cards eventually, all on this show, the Card Life Chronicles. Watch this real quick. Yes, I've been building that collection very slowly over time. I bought some stuff in Vegas. I buy stuff, all over the metro Kansas City area. I buy stuff on eBay, and again, each of those boxes cost me $30, but it's going to give me hours of enjoyment. And you might pull a couple of winners. And again, it's like we value this hobby in different ways, and I love ripping wax. And it gets expensive ripping. Recently I ripped a bunch of 2026 Topps Chrome basketball update. I love basketball. I'm editing a Basketball Gods book. I got to feel the energy, please the Basketball Gods and all that stuff. But every blaster box or value box was $45. Four cards per pack, 7 packs, 28 cards. Do the math of how much you're paying per card. It's like, it's ridiculous. So, if you're a young 13-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid, high school kid on a limited budget, part-time job and allowance, how do you enjoy this hobby anymore, right? It gets very challenging. So I want to encourage finding ways to do that. By the way, let me give you another example real quick. I promise we'll get to ripping packs, but my daughter's living in DC. My son just went back to college. Wife is asleep, so I got the time. So you might have been following me on my Sports Card Collectors Club, also on Instagram and TikTok, whatever, and on YouTube. I have this. So I love video games. I've always loved video games since like Atari Pong. I've never in my life was I not playing video games. And even in the last 10 years, I'll still always buy like the new game for some reason. But I have not been playing because I've been so busy writing books, and I just kind of feel guilty that I'm wasting time playing video games, which is just silliness when I could be being productive. But I've come to learn that. First of all, I'm putting out too many books too fast. I'm cannibalizing my own sales, and I should be much more methodical and put them out, probably only twice a year, and slow down this nature of being prolific, and spend more time doing things like this. Marketing, social media, hosting podcasts, being guest on other people's podcasts. I'm on the High Hard one, which by the way had 20,000 live viewers last Sunday night, and we'll be doing it again this Sunday night. So come check us out. And then I'm also a guest on the recurring Pokemon. Podcast that we do on this network, which is so awesome, and I'll be on the next episode as well. So I didn't have time for that before because I was too focused on writing books, and now I'm kind of stepping back. And what I've realized is that like I still do love playing video games, and it's kind of a fun break from the monotonous editing that I do. And so, like for example, when I'm reading the Basketball Gods Are Real over and over and over, I take a break every now and then, and I'll play a game of NBA 2K, for example. And I created a series called The Lost Franchises, and I literally post the videos, and I got it linked up on Twitch, linked up on YouTube, the whole thing. And I basically am playing with the Kansas City Kings starting in the very beginning of the Magic Bird era, 1983. And it's called The Lost Franchises because in 1984, 6 new franchise teams are going to come in. Teams that were around back in the day that are now gone, like the Buffalo Braves and the New Jersey Americans, the Syracuse Nationals, the Baltimore Bullets, stuff like that. So who knows who will draft Jordan in '84? But I started with the awful Kansas City Kings, and they're one of the worst teams in the league. And by the way, they're so bad that in real life they eventually moved to Sacramento. So of course, in the scenario in the game when it's time to move, they're not going to move, and the San Diego Clippers will probably not move to LA. They'll probably stay in San Diego. So I'll make those adjustments. The Vancouver probably won't. Maybe might not move to OKC. We'll have to put it to a vote. But the point is, I traded my team, and I traded all my draft picks so I could have a competitive team in season 1. And then now what I'm doing is I'm collecting all the players that I'm using. Now I'm only playing a 30-game season. I'm playing every team once round robin, then a full playoffs. But the goal is to play all the way up until the modern day, right? And that's when I'll switch to NBA 2.7 or 2.8 whenever it comes out, whenever I'm done with this thing. So my favorite player growing up was Dominique Wilkins, right? And so I'm using him like Magic Johnson. So I traded as many picks as I needed to get Dominique, and he's my point guard, and he has been awesome. And I finally learned how to dunk with him. But the point is this: is that I'm now curating a collection of all the players that I'm using, like Dale Ellis, who put up 40 points in the rookie sophomore game at the All-Star weekend, and Tree Rollins. Now look, these cards cost me like $1 and $1 for shipping, so like $2 a card. Even this like Dale Ellis one, because think about it, who wants Dale Ellis these days? This is an on-card auto. How sweet is that? So I'm having so much fun. Not sure how I'll eventually figure out what to do with these cards, put them in a binder or whatever. But basically, every time I put out an update, I display a new card. These are all the ones that I've already displayed. And so the point is, like, this whole project maybe cost me $100 over the course of many, many months or years. And here's a John Sunvold on-card auto. I think I paid maybe $2 or $3 for this one. I forget. But it's just enjoy the hobby in any way you can. And I want to show people that you can have fun in this hobby and collect cards and build sets. And it does not have to be expensive. Now, I do that stuff too. I'm an adult. I have a job and whatever. Oh, here's another John Sunvold on-card auto. Did I display? I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. So my point is, and I have a whole stack of cards that I haven't even shown yet. So there's a lot of different ways to enjoy this hobby. It doesn't have to be about spending money. And even though I think that there's definitely there's a part in this community for box breaking and for whatnot and all that stuff, and there's a part of this community for investing and flipping, all of it is actually part of the hobby. How we choose to participate is up to us. I think there's no right or wrong way. I think you do what you enjoy. Simple as that. Collect what you love. All right. So the point is, I love Pokemon, but I was very late to discover Pokemon. As I said, it was literally like two years ago. And the first 6 months, I wasn't even buying packs. I was just like learning, watching videos, reading articles, going to shows, talking to shop owners, talking to collectors. I don't know what I did, but I'm back. It's all good. Maybe I touched something in my arm. Let me move these packs over here. All right, so let's get to ripping. Let's have some fun. Let's pull some really fun-looking cards. Let's celebrate this hobby. Yeah, this will be the last rip I do before the 30th anniversary because this is the last I have around, and I'm not going to buy any more. Like most people, I'm going to kind of like look, save my cash. Actually, the next thing I'm going to be buying is on Friday. is the first time Topps has released flagship football, first time in like 10 years. And I'll assuming I can buy a high box at MSRP, which I think is $119 or $120. For my Card Life book series, I probably will buy a high box. Otherwise, I'll probably pick up 4 blasters, and I'll do a rip session on that. But then the next thing I'll probably be buying is 30th anniversary, assuming I can get my hands on some stuff. I think you will be able to, because I have a feeling that Pokemon is going to print to the moon on this stuff, because they want to make sure that it's a success and people get their hands on it, and they don't want a scalping problem. I don't think they want people like fighting in the aisles for this stuff. And by the way, I'll do a whole video on this at some point. Pokemon market, like all markets in a free market, is about supply and demand. And in 2028, which is really just around the corner, guys, assuming that it's on time, Pokemon is opening a new production facility in North Carolina. It's going to be a huge production facility, and that might mean tremendous supply on the market in North America, including reprints. And so it could be very detrimental to Pokemon investors, because if you flood the market with product, not to mention all the stuff that's sealed up in people's attics and stuff like that. Here's just a cute card and really good shine. Here's our first full art. We'll put that in glass. You might see Pokemon prices continue to decline for some time. And that'd be great news for the collectors actually out there. It'll be very bad news for the flippers, and maybe that's a blessing, because the flipping community, or I should say the scalping community, not the flipping community, the scalping community has not been healthy for the hobby, right? I think we all can agree on that. You know, people are getting guns pulled on them, knives pulled on them, fights are breaking out. It's just getting out of control. And, you know, greed is a very powerful emotion. It can get the best of us, and it also can, you know, bring out the worst in us. Okay, so here's one of these 3-card packs from Series 2. It should be 3 full art. Again, I opened this the first time and got 3 full art. I thought it was a mini guide pack. I don't think it was. Unless this time it's not 3, but I think it probably is. Because I did pull these one other time and it was. Let's find out. Yeah, so far, yeah. But look at that. Look at that card, guys. How sick is that design? Grookey. He's a little monkey. He's so cute. And you got the Pikachu. Yeah, that's a cute card. Yep, there's my boy. He doesn't have to go out this time. I think he's just here to hang out. Hey, buddy. Next card. Score Bunny. This is also super cute. Look at this. I mean, now I guess I know why people line up, because these are pretty rare cards. This is sick. Yeah, that's beautiful. We'll do a recap at the end, and I'll make like a little GIF, and I'll put out a little update when we're done, like my favorite pulls. Again, we only have 20 packs tonight, but I knew that these mini packs were going to be amazing. And look at those 2 right there. And here's the third one. Again, not a mini guide pack. They're all like this. Here's a Sobble. He's also super duper cute. I mean, you got to give Pokemon credit. I mean, just really adorable characters. You know, I love VFriends. I know VFriends is very polarizing. A lot of people hate on VFriends. I just watched a huge video about some big YouTuber with 40,000 views doing a whole, just shitting on VFriends like crazy. And I think that's misguided. You know, at the end of the day, this character right here, for example, or any of these characters, do any characters even know what these characters represent or who they are? I mean, like, there's like thousands of Pokemon characters. People even know what Gengar represents, what Gengar's personality is like. I mean, when you pull an empathy elephant, yeah, it's obvious what the character is, but it's adorable, and you learn wonderful character traits you learn how to become a good person from VFriends. So I think it's a really cool product to, like, if I'm an uncle, I'm buying that for my niece or nephew, for my grandpa. I want my grandkids to come over and rip VFriends. Pokemon has a better TCG game, so we'll probably play Pokemon the game, and so we'll probably rip some Pokemon too, whatever. But I think people should give VFriends another chance. Maybe their art needs to get better like this. Series 2, honestly, wasn't probably as good as Series 1, Topps Chrome. But if they can do stuff like this, watch out for VFriends. Plus, VFriends is building a network of a universe of comics and cartoons. All right, here's a perfect order out of 10. So I have never pulled a real God Pack, although there is a chapter in the Pokemon Gods and the Real called the God Pack, and it's a fun chapter. This was not a God Pack, but the thing about God Packs is people know they exist. So that's one of the things about ripping packs that's so magical, is that you never know if the next pack could be something very, very special. And that hope, that belief, that kind of magic, that feeling of anticipation, how wonderful that something like a hobby, like trading cards, could give you that feeling, right? So that's why we love this hobby, because we love that feeling and we want to feel it over and over again. Here's Snorlax. This is just his base card, but he's a pretty popular character at times. Here's a base trainer. He's a cute little mouse rat. All right, so not a God Pack. That was more of a bust pack. Here we got some Pitch Black, the most recent release. Yeah, like I said, not doing well in the secondary market. But the packs that I've ripped, I'm not sure I pulled anything special, but I just liked the design. I thought it was a good-looking rip. I mean, I enjoyed the rip. It was good-looking cards. Not that guy. He's like a zombie. This is a fun name, Slowbro. Rampardos. Not a big fan of the dinosaur-looking characters. You guys think this belongs in the gallery? It's kind of a maybe for me. It is a full art, though, is it not? I'm going to give it yes. I don't want to disrespect the Pokemon gods and accept them. So I want more good cards to come our way. So I will say yes. You're in. All right, this one is Chaos Rising. The second to last new set, also not doing very well in the secondary market. Doesn't have the kind of chase cards that people are looking for. Typically, it's got to be like a major Pikachu or a Gengar or a Charizard. Let's be honest. There's more than 100. There's now over, I think, 1,000 Pokemon characters, but it's not that dissimilar from the sports card market, because if you've been watching the sports card market for the last 6 months, a year, there's been a huge emphasis on the GOATs. GOAT, of course, is an acronym for greatest of all time. Guys like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, some consider Kobe Bryant a GOAT. And everyone thinks those are the best, safest investments, and they've been piling into them. And, of course, the prices just keep going up, up, and up. But the truth is, if you look at these hits I've had tonight, it's not one of the GOATs. It's not, a Pikachu or a Charizard or a Gengar or, a few others, that are very, very popular. And it's usually those cards that actually have the strongest, the strongest markets. Like the Bubble Mew, for example. Mew's a very popular character. The last of the 151, by the way. All right, here we go. Ooh, this is a good-looking card. I don't think it's gallery worthy, but it might flip. Maybe not. We'll see. All right, here. This could be really special. Here we go. So far, every time I've opened one of these packs, it's been amazing. So I don't know how to pronounce every character's name, but we got, I'm guessing it's Snivy, and it's super cute. Beautiful. Tepig, he's actually a flying pig. I was a vegetarian for 11 straight years. I still don't eat pork. This guy's really cute. Yeah, so that's 3 really good cards. I'm gonna run out of glass, guys. That will displease the Pokemon gods for sure. But that's why people were lining up for this release at Target, because they knew. Now each one of these boxes with the 3 packs in them, I think they might retail for $15, believe it or not. And I think they were going for $80 on eBay. So I definitely could have done what some of those people were doing, which is just literally just, flip them. But I have no interest in flipping. I like to rip wax. I love ripping packs. It's fun. Keeps me young and youthful. Can you see that one? No. Let's put that one here. And you know what? I had done thousands of pack openings before I started doing them online. And now that I do them online, especially now if I can do it with a hey, there's Drew F TV. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Oh, and Brendan W5W. What's up, dude? Arceus. Yeah, everyone's got some fun, different favorite characters. So these are all really cool cards, though. Not Charizard or Pikachu yet. All right. Perfect order. So just want to say shout out to the chat. Grateful for everyone who's joining. 684 good people hanging out, enjoying a Pokemon session. Thank you very much, all of you guys. I'm grateful. He's cute. Scatterbug. Superior. Pitch Black. He's cute. Scary. Scary. Woo. Gwen Trainer. Chaos Rising. Saw this video go viral of Joe Jonas of the Jonas Brothers. He was maybe at his house in LA. He was by a pool, and he opened a pack and he pulled a Bubble Mew and he handed it to like someone, and then he just dove into the pool, and people thought he was like planned or whatever. And he was like, "No, dude, I love Pokemon. I've been loving Pokemon my whole life. It was real." I liked his reaction. I thought it was sincere, bubbly energy. I'm gonna probably put a chapter in my next Music Gods Are Real book about Pokemon. There's been a lot of musicians that express their love for Pokemon. Pokemon have ripping packs on stage a lot of times, different acts. It's an interesting phenomenon, but it makes sense to me. Musicians have lots of free time. They wait, they hurry up and then they wait. They hurry up and wait all their whole life, their whole career. I used to work in the music industry. I know it. I've lived it. And so having hobbies is important. I remember the guys in Blink 182, when they weren't doing drugs, they would all be reading books. Reading books was definitely popular on the road when I was on the road. But you need other activities too. Here's a Mega. This will go on like my second category. It's not going to get like in the jump. I'm not going to give them away for free on eBay, but I'll probably put this on. I'll flip this on eBay probably as a card, but not worthy of the gallery. But it's a nice card. I say that because I know there's going to be 3 more bangers right here. Here we go. So it's kind of tricky to open. Yeah, wow. Trico, the gecko, he's cute. Torchic, oh my god, he is cute. A little Tweety bird, an orange Tweety bird. And then a Mudkip. I'm not sure what he is, but he's still cute. Another really cool full art. Yeah, these are going to be really fun to put on eBay. They're gonna probably do very, very well, I think, right? I don't know. See, like, Pokemon doesn't do like numbered cards, so it's hard to know how rare certain cards are. But they're beautiful designs, man. Amazing. Yeah, you don't have to play the Pokemon game, watch the cartoons, see the movies to appreciate cool card art, That's where I come into this. I just think it's beautiful stuff. I think this glass case, all the ones I have left are too big. May not fit on a stand. Let's see. Oh, no, this one does. Wow. Oh my god, we got another one of these. Holy moly. This is Series 3. Wow. Chespin. Fennekin. He looks like a Chihuahua dog. Look at his eyes. Whoa. That is sick. Oh my god. And then Froakie. Have you guys ever seen these cards before, these designs? I've never seen any of these before. They're incredible. Like, really insane. Oh, bummer. That's my last one. We have some regular packs left, but these packs were truly insane. Yeah. I guess you come to expect it because I knew that they would be, because the last 2 times I opened those boxes, they were amazing. The first time it just came in the mail, and I thought I pulled the mini God pack, and then the second time I did it, I bought it in the store one time, and that's when I realized, oh no, it's not a mini God pack, but it's still just beautiful cards. And then I show up at Target randomly, and there's a restock going on, and I didn't even get what I wanted. I saw Ascended Heroes, which I know is such a popular fun set to rip, and they was already gone when I got to my turn. But they did have these Series 2 and Series 3, and look at these things. Amazing. So much fun. All right, so it's got to be a really good pull now to get some glass. I'm just saying. All right, perfect order. Ooh, for a second I thought it was a Gengar, but it's Ghastly. Busts. That's okay. We've pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 amazing full art cards so far. Pokemon Gods have delivered. I think I just got lucky with a restock, but whatever. I still can give the Pokemon Gods credit for that too, I think. Charmander. That might not be the kind of Charmander that's going to be worth like $100,000, but Charmander is definitely one of the characters that's most beloved in the Pokédex, if you will. We'll put that in the special section over there. Whoa! And look at this one. What the hell? Have you ever seen this before? Punk helmet, trainer card. Wow! Holy moly! This has been the best Pokemon session we've had yet, no doubt about it. I said it's gonna be the last one until 30th anniversary. I know that's gonna be so much fun, but I might not be able to. I don't know if you can beat the luck we've had tonight, pack luck. But I feel like we had a shoe-in with those boxes. It was cute. All right, perfect order. We've seen this guy before, Ghastly. We've pulled this exact pack, haven't we? Snorlax? No, not exact. Telepathic energy. Now you're talking. This is a cool looking card. He's a little too scary for my taste. He looks powerful. Soul Destroyer. Damn, he's a Soul Destroyer. We'll put him in the Plan B pile. All right, 4 more to go. Yeah, so we're gonna do one more impromptu basketball rip before we start getting back into the Card Life rip session material that we'll show on the Card Life Chronicles. And by the way, next Tuesday, 10 o'clock Eastern, we'll do a Card Life Chronicles scheduled, so you know ahead of time we'll be doing this. Usually it's spontaneous, but every other Tuesday, 10 o'clock, we'll always have a scheduled Card Life Chronicles rip session. Just me in the chat, flipping packs, having fun. Oh, no thank you. Oh, yes. It's not back to back, but that's always fun. Pass. Have we opened a Phantasmal Flame Jet? That's cool. That's a much, much older set. Maybe something really fun will be in here. Let's go. Oh, he's cute. The Emperor. Not so cute. Sort of cute. Weird, kind of cute. Not so cute. Blowtorch. That could come in handy. Blowtorch trainer. Yuck, scary. Oh, he's super cute. Look at this Palmo guy. I like him. He's cool. Another Punk helmet. We're going to put that in the good pile. And then kind of like a Phoenix rising from the ashes kind of character there. All right, 2 more. Yeah, so we've been going for almost 90 minutes. That's a good hour and a half session. I didn't know how long these 20 packs would last, but then we got into a couple of Fink story time moments. That happens, you know. I guess that's kind of like, you know, why it's fun ripping with me, because you're not just going to get packs. You're going to get stories, market insight. How many times are we going to pull this guy? 3rd time tonight. Ghastly base. Whoa, look at this. Pack magic is just off the charts tonight, guys. Rose's Encouragement trainer card. Hold on, I gotta get more glass. She deserves it. All I have left are these oversized ones that are for like giant patch auto pulls. But for now, we're gonna give Rose's Encouragement some big thick glass. Definitely didn't take good care of my cards when I was a little kid in the 1980s, but I do now. Gotta respect the hobby. All right, guys. I mean, look, we've been so blessed already. How do I even ask for this? But Pokemon Gods, Last Pack Magic. Let's do it. 689 good friends in the chat. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me tonight. Thank you for the support. Thanks for checking out my book, considering my books. Pokemon Gods Are Real, Sports Card Collectors Club, Republic Baseball League, Spirits of the Gridiron. By the way, Republic Baseball League is audiobook free on YouTube. I've almost finished the entire first book. I will put all 3 volumes on for free. I'll eventually put all my books on audiobook for free on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I'm working really hard on that. So yeah, you can just check out my stories, but then you gotta listen to me. If you want to actually read a book on the beach, then go download the ebook or go buy the physical book. Any of my books. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the support. Another little rat guy. Wow, we did it. Sligoo. Gentle Slap. Another good card. We really have had, like, crazy pack luck tonight, guys. Look at this one. All right, let's clean all these cards up, and then let's do a quick review. We really have some sick cards. Again, we didn't get any of the goats tonight, which I think is a good thing, because I think there's too much emphasis in this hobby about the goats. You know, there's lots of good players to collect. I mean, like right now I'm playing 1983 NBA basketball. Gosh. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J, Dominique Wilkins. There were so many good players to collect that are like GOAT level. Because like if you're from Philadelphia, is Dr. J not a GOAT? You know, Bill Russell. I mean, Bill Russell was before 1983, so he's not in the game. But like how you know, a lot of those cards are very, very undervalued, as everyone keeps plowing into the same guys. And you know what? Michael Jordan's awesome, but he's not perfect. He can get into a scandal, some kind of financial scandal, or who knows what, and his brand can be tarnished. You know, he's still alive. You know, Pikachu is never going to get into a scandal. Their brand will never be tarnished. I feel like non-sports cards could be better investments than a lot of athletes. But you know what? Guys that like have come and gone. Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. I feel like a lot of those guys are still undervalued, as everyone chases Mickey Mantle 52 and Honus Wagner T206. I think that Sandy Koufax is also undervalued, by the way. Pitchers don't seem to have as much weight in the hobby, but Sandy Koufax was the youngest pitcher ever inducted into the Hall of Fame at 36 years old. And, I can make the argument that Satchel Paige was better and more influential. Bob Gibson, St. Louis Cardinals pitcher. Some could say he was the best pitcher of all time. But Sandy Koufax is probably the best lefty pitcher of all time. I think that's a safe bet to say. He ended his career early because he was suffering from elbow problems and he was giving himself cortisone shots on a regular basis, and he just felt like it was an unsustainable situation. So he announced his own retirement early instead of just playing through pain or, No one can play forever. I read a book about Hank Greenberg, and he said that he once visited Babe Ruth when he was like dying, and Babe Ruth said, "You never retire. You play until they take the bat out of your hands. You play until it's over." So I do respect players like Barry Sanders who kind of retire in their prime and walk away, and I also respect players who are going to play until the very last whistle, till the wheels fall off. Yeah, so all these cards right here that I consider basically worthless, I will insert into envelopes when I do my card sales on eBay. I will hand out to free to kids 4 at a time at my card shows when I set up at card shows and I sell my books and stuff like that. I do sell some cards too, but nothing serious. I don't like do the whole like buy PSA card at 80% or 60% and sell at 110. I just sell like junk wax cards. I sell cards that I rip from my inventory, stuff like that. I have dollar bins. I have cards I give away for free. Okay, so first let's do this. Okay, couple things. Hold on. Quick sip of the non-sponsored soda. Okay, these were the runner-up cards. Cards that I liked, cards that are worth the chance to flip on eBay, but not worthy of the winner's gallery. This one's pretty cute. We pulled 2 of these punk helmets. Now the Charmander, I don't know if that's worth anything. I just know he's a super cute character, super popular. Not one of the elite goats, but he's up there. This is another good-looking card. And this one, I don't know. Every once in a while when I'm at shows, I'll see like a PSA 10 of a trainer, so I never know if a trainer's worth much or not, but this one could be. All right, those are the runner-up cards. Now here are the winners. Ready? We got Sligo. Oh, hold on. Let me shut down the second. If you look carefully, see how that beautiful refracting looks like a rainbow, like the sunlight is piercing through the forest. Just a really cool looking card there. Nice job. Pokemon. Here's a full art trainer of Rosa. Another good pull. And then we have this cool little chestpin. Looks like he's wearing a cute little hat. Very cute card. Full art. Special illustration rare. We got Fennekin. He's like a little chihuahua. How cute is this guy? Super cute. I'm guessing this card might be very, very popular with Pokemon hobbyists who own chihuahuas. Froakie, the frog, a blue frog. Full art, special illustration rare. Very cute. Just adorable. Speaking of animals that like to live on a pond, I guess, here's a Treco, like a gecko. Beautiful refracting color. Very nice. Torchic, the little cute chickadee, the orange chick, the little baby bird. You notice it's like an ocean scene there with a tower and a boat in the water. Just a lot of fun in that. A lot of fun stuff going on there in that art. Beautiful refracting. Very nice. Mudkip. I don't know what this guy's supposed to be. He's not scary looking though. He's cute. He might be a made-up character of some kind. It's super cute. Oshawott. Was not familiar with his game. Looks like they got a carousel ride going on down there. Spiderweb. Some weird shit going on in this one. It's very unique. No doubt about that. Here's Snivy. He looks like a salamander to me. I'm not exactly sure what he's supposed to be, but he looks like he's lost in the big city. Big skyscraper buildings, maybe a bridge right there. Yeah. This one, it really was not sure if it was worthy of the gallery, but I mentioned when it happened, I didn't want to upset the Pokemon gods, and I didn't know if we'd have other big hits, and so that's might be worthy of the gallery. Now I'm thinking maybe not, but it's called Rampardos with the full art. He's kind of like a dinosaur looking dude. This guy's cute too. Tepig. He's a little orange and black pig, little piglet. He's like a superhero. He's like flying through the air to save the day. There's also another bridge down there. It looks like a similar bridge that we saw. They must all be from the same city. Cute card. Up next, we got Sobble. Don't know what he is. Another cute little character. I don't know where he is, although there is a little beach tower thing there. See that? Right there. That might be is that a crow up there? I'm not sure. Love to interview some of these Pokemon artists. That'd be insane. Here's a Score Bunny. Very cute. A lot going on in this artwork here. Shout out to Professor Sports Cards. He did a big roundtable last night. I enjoyed that. I listened to it. He'll be on my show in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's a cool card. This guy, D-Den, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know what he is, but he's up in the tree there. He's laughing his ass off. He's really cute though. Kind of looks like a happy potato with ears. I don't know what he is. Cool card. All right, and the last card, and this might be my favorite of the rip actually. He's just super cute. It's Grookey, the green cute monkey. Flying through the air, swinging from branch to branch over a town below. It's over a town. Yeah. Super cute. Great refracting in the light. Really cool design. Intricate. Yeah, so guys, that was a lot of fun. The Pokemon gods are definitely real. And that was a very, very good rip session. I thank you very much. We'll do this again soon. We made it past the hour and a half, which is a good length. We've done 2-hour sessions. We've done our longest is 3 hour. One day we'll do a marathon and break that. Maybe we'll do a marathon session if I can get my hands on a really shit ton of 30th anniversary Pokemon. That would be a lot of fun. So until then, I'll be back with some other rips spontaneously throughout the week, and we'll start doing scheduled Card Life Chronicle sessions, 10 o'clock every other Tuesday, starting this upcoming Tuesday next week. And that'll alternate with my flagship podcast, the Sports Card Collectors Club Hot Ones interview format. And if you haven't done so already, go check out my interview with Michaela Bear. She's a hardcore super collector, an amazing person, human being, a really fun interview. Go check it out on the Collecting and Connecting Network and on the Sports Card Collectors Club YouTube channel. So I appreciate you guys. I am grateful for all of you. We're going to finish strong with 692 people. And guys, I never take for granted anybody. I'm thankful for all of you. I would be just as grateful if there was 5 people, 15, 700, or 3,000, or like we had on the High Hard one, the other night, 20,000, which is mind blowing. We're still getting started here. We're still building this community. I'm still new to social media, so I'm still a new personality. I'm still a new alternative for you guys to choose. You guys can watch anybody rip cards. So I thank you for spending time ripping cards with me tonight. I hope it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to say I'm grateful to each and every one of you. So thank you so much. And as always, God bless.
He pulled a stain from a shoebox lid. Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight with a pack in hand and